A projector asked a question here on my YouTube channel that sounded something like this. I'm so bitter. How do I even start to shift out of this? So in this video, I'm going to look at what's the source of the problem, like where is this bitterness actually coming from, how to start to resolve that, and then what to do if the vision that you're working towards isn't working, the bitterness is not shifting. So this is going to be great if you're a projector who really wants to make your life work better. You're sick of feeling bitter or resentful or stuck. You're sick of feeling like a victim and complaining and feeling powerless and feeling like you're getting nowhere, and you're really ready to do something different. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Carolyn Southwell. I'm a 2/4 emotional projector and I've been playing with human design for 10 years. And I used to spend a lot of time feeling really bitter, and now not so much. So let's talk about what I did and how to change that. So to shift out of bitterness, the very first thing we need to realize is, why am I bitter? I came to a realization recently, and you're never going to hear this in human design circles, but bitterness is actually repressed anger. I'll say it again. Bitterness is repressed anger. So you have felt angry about things that you have had to endure, that you have to navigate in the world. And because you didn't feel like you could express that outwardly and you've swallowed it, it tastes bitter in your mouth, in your body. That is my interpretation of bitterness at this point in my human design journey. Now, what are you angry about? This is a very good question to ask yourself. How about the fact that you live in a world where we're asked as projectors to work? We're asked to use our energy like the generators and manifesting generators to work in order to get paid. That's a good one. That's a very common reason that projectors will feel bitter, because they've been asked to use their energy field in a way that's totally incorrect. If you ask a fish to climb a tree, it's going to think that there's something wrong with it. But if you put it in the ocean, it's going to swim like nobody's business. You are not designed to work like the generators. If you feel angry, it's completely justified, because it is difficult to navigate a world set up for generators and manifesting generators. So the source of the problem is the fact that you're operating in a world that doesn't quite know what to do with projectors yet. Now, I did do a video on how to find the right work for you as a projector. So if you haven't seen that yet, I will link it here somewhere above me and in the video description. But there are lots of reasons that you could feel bitter. You could feel bitter because people are ignoring you and not asking you for your guidance. Actually, I've got another video on that. I'll link it up here and down here. You could feel bitter because you're being ignored. There are so many reasons that you might be feeling angry, that you've internalized and you're experiencing as bitterness. So we found the source of the problem. Then the next thing you need to do is create a vision for yourself and your life that feels so much better than what you've currently got. So since so many projectors struggle with money, let's look at it in the context of work. So you can write out for yourself a statement, do some journaling, ponder it. And what would you like your life to look like? Being paid to guide, receiving invitations, feeling really valued in your relationships. Write it out in detail and really get to the core essence of what it would look like and what it would feel like and what it would sound like. The more you can sculpt that vision to feel really good for you and really aligned with your human design chart, because every projector is a little or a lot different, then the better that you can shift towards something that will feel really successful and satisfying and beautiful, rather than cause you to feel bitter. Now, if you're really clueless about what work would look like for you, do watch that video that I mentioned about work. It will be down in the video description. And the more you can learn about yourself and your chart and your strengths and your gifts, the easier it will be to make sure that that vision that you sculpt for yourself is really true for you and is more about what your heart and soul wants in this life, and less about the shoulds and the musts and the have-tos and all the things you've been conditioned to think you should want. Now, as you ponder that vision and imagine it in its fullness, what you're going to start to realize is your body probably has some reactions to that. You're probably going to notice some thoughts or beliefs like, oh, that's not possible, or I don't deserve that, or I don't know how, or any number of things are going to come up. Because here's the thing, if there's something that you want internally but you don't have in your life, you absolutely have resistance sitting in your body to having that thing come to fruition in your life. And this is where a deconditioning tool is vitally important. Just following strategy and inner authority for 7 years, sadly, is not going to get you there. You do need an additional deconditioning tool. Now, there are so many different ways that we can do this thing called deconditioning. Part of it is gaining an awareness of yourself. So you can do that through learning more about your chart. And there's lots of ways to do that. You can do it directly with me or just through studying the resources that are available online. There are a lot more now than when I started. When you have your vision in place of what you want your ideal life to look like so that you can shift out of that bitterness, you're going to need that deconditioning tool to like unhook the stories and the resistance and the sensations and the emotions and all of the things that can come up as you make those changes towards a better life. I do this through trauma-informed tapping. There is a whole playlist of some of the things I've created over the last few years in regards to tapping. It will get you started if you're new to tapping and you want to see how I communicate that. So I'll put the tapping playlist up here somewhere and down in the video description. But otherwise, you can come and do trauma-informed tapping directly with me. And it doesn't matter whether you use tapping or another deconditioning tool. What is essential with any tool that you find is that it allows you to, one, notice the thoughts, the emotions, the sensations, the resistance to you having the life that you want that would feel so much better than the bitterness that you're currently experiencing, and that allows you to gently find that resistance, that stuff within your system, and then slowly and gently start to move that stuff out of your system, right? Slowly, carefully, gently, because there might be a whole Pandora's box worth of stuff in there. A trauma-informed way of whether it's tapping or any other process is to make sure that you're doing tiny bits regularly. If you imagine that there's 1,000 bits of resistance in your system, you know, if we could quantify them and just make them tiny bricks in your system, then you don't want to try and take out 1,000 in 1 week. As much as I know you would like to shift out of this bitterness like yesterday already. What is way more useful is to take out a tiny bit in the morning and a tiny bit at night. Or maybe that's too much. Maybe you just do 1 brick in the morning and that's all. Or 1 brick every few days until you get more and more used to the sensations and the feeling of this stuff coming up and out, because it can be quite uncomfortable. So slowly but surely, a tiny little bit at a time, and you will walk yourself towards a life that looks like the vision that you've created, where you feel way more of all the happy, juicy, wonderful emotions and way less bitterness, and you get there 1 step at a time. Now, if this video was helpful, give it a like so other projectors can find it. And if you know other projectors who are really struggling with this experience of feeling really bitter, can you share this video with them today?